Hey McKendree, it's Chef Julie from Wednesday Night Suppers. Aren't you sick and tired of trying to come up with something for dinner for your family during this pandemic? Well, I might have a couple ideas for you. You know, on Wednesday night we'll do a salad a lot of times, a main salad, and we'll have chicken or something that we've marinated on there. A couple of times we've had pork tenderloin that's been marinated. And then I thought, you know what, let me look in my freezer, see what I have, and let me talk about the beauty of marinating that. So I had some chicken and some pork, and I have some beef, and I want to show you some of the tips to take whatever you have in that freezer or refrigerator and just ratchet up a little bit. So we're going to start with what we call Chef Julie's quarter cup marinade. Now let me introduce you to some of the ingredients. The first ingredient you're going to use is going to be a quarter cup of olive oil, extra virgin or just regular olive oil, or vegetable or canola oil. The second ingredient we're going to add in will be a quarter cup of soy sauce. Now you can use regular soy sauce or the reduced sodium soy sauce for those of you that are watching your salt levels. The third ingredient we're going to add in will be just a variety of acids, and you need that acid. That's going to break down the protein of the meat and give you a more tender product. So what I have here are some samples of what you can use. I have balsamic vinegar or sherry vinegar if we're going to do vegetables maybe. You can use wine, a variety. You can use red or white wine or vermouth. I also have a hard cider. You can use that or beer. And then you can use a fruit juice, or you can use oranges, limes, lemons, whatever you happen to have in your refrigerator. Now here's where the fun begins in building our marinade. You can look in your refrigerator, pantry, or cupboard and just pull out anything that you happen to like and your family likes. Then we can make a different flavored marinade for whatever you're making. So here's some things I generally have in my cupboard that I use in my marinades. One is if I want to add a little sweetener, I might pull in some brown sugar, I might pull in some honey, or just some regular white sugar. That'll work too. And then I'll use some dried herbs. I also happen to have some fresh herbs in my yard, so I pulled some of those in. You can add some Worcestershire sauce for a little zing, or some Dijon Mustard. That will give you the same kind of profile, a little zing in there. And then I had some garlic, I have some granulated garlic, and I have some garlic paste, which I many times keep in the refrigerator. It's just really handy. Also, I had some ginger paste. You could use fresh ginger if you have it. I didn't today. Or you can use some powdered ginger. And then if you like a little heat, there's nothing wrong with adding a little Tabasco sauce or some red pepper flakes. So now let's build some marinades. Okay, the first marinade I want to show you is one of my absolute favorites. I've used it over and over again. It's really excellent with pork or pork chops. And what I have today is pork loin. Now actually, I had an 8-pound pork loin that I've cut in half. We're going to be serving women and children at the children's shelter, and so I had this big pork loin. I'm going to marinate half of it, and then I'll marinate the other half in a little while. But let me start out and show you what I like about this particular marinade. First of all, we're going to start out with our quarter cup ingredients. And as I previously told you, that's going to be a quarter cup of soy sauce. Just regular soy sauce I'm using here. And then a quarter cup of olive oil. Now the acid I do change occasionally. What I'm using today is apple hard cider. If you're doing a dinner party in the future and you have adults, bourbon makes a great acid to use in this one. But I'm going to use this apple cider. And then here come my add-ins. Now these are things that I found that I really like in this marinade. One is going to be a quarter cup of brown sugar. So I'm going to get a little whisk and start to turn that, stir that around a little bit. The other thing I like in this particular marinade is a quarter cup of Dijon mustard. It just adds a little something. It goes really well with pork. I'm going to add that in. And then I don't have any fresh ginger with me, but I do have this ginger paste that I keep in the refrigerator. I'm going to add a little bit of that because ginger and pork and brown sugar are just a great marriage. So I'm going to get that mixed together. I already have this half a pork loin in a jumbo baggie because that's what it required. And I'm just going to take that now, and all I'm going to do is just dump this in. And after I dump it in, just massage a little bit. I'm going put it back in the refrigerator, and I'm gonna leave it there for a good 24 hours. Now this pork loin is gonna cook on Cameraman Steve's favorite device, and that is the big green egg. So it's gonna be really good, it's gonna be really tender, and I think they're gonna like it a lot. So that's gonna go in the fridge for 24 hours. Now the next marinade I wanna show you is one that's really great with chicken. And some of these marinades are interchangeable. For instance, the one I just showed you is also good with chicken. So you can do it with that too. But I'm going to show you one for chicken thighs. I got a couple of really nice looking chicken thighs here. And we're going to have those. We're probably going to roast these, maybe grill them, I don't know yet. But what we're going to have to start this marinade off, I'm going to do a little kind of Greek thing with it. So once again, the 1/4 cup of soy. And this is only 2 chicken thighs, so I can probably go a little bit shy on that. And then 1/4 cup of olive oil. And then because I want to make this a Greek-inspired chicken, I'm adding in a 1/4 cup of lemon juice. About a tablespoon of chopped fresh rosemary, because I like that. And then I have some garlic paste. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in. And I'm going to mix that around. You can use lime juice if you wanted to. Soy and lime actually works really well with chicken. You could even do shrimp with this. The only thing I have to say about seafood is you do not want to marinate it very long. If you put acid and seafood together like shrimp or fish, it's actually going to cook that protein. So a couple of hours in the refrigerator or 30 minutes on your counter, and that'll be about as much marinade as you'll want on seafood or shrimp or fish. So we got the chicken ready. I think I'm going to be eating pretty good this week. So, all right, one more I want to show you. And this one is, I was kind of bumming around in my freezer and I didn't know I had this, and it's a piece of steak, and it's off of a tenderloin that I had served at a party a couple months ago, and I forgot I had cut off a piece of that and put it in the freezer. So I'm going to do a marinade with this, and this really is excellent with beef. You can do it with the flank steak, you can do it with ribeyes. I've done it all kinds of ways. So once again, let's start with the soy. 1/4 cup of soy. This part just never changes. 1/4 cup of olive oil. You can use regular oil if that's what you have. I just happen to like olive oil. And then I'm going to throw in balsamic vinegar. And this is really good with this steak. It just adds something. It's just enough sweetness. It's really good. This one I've had around for a while. It's lasted me. And then I want to do my add-ins. And what I'm choosing to add in is some oregano and some thyme that I was growing in my backyard. So I'm going to put that in because it's fresh. I'm going to add a little bit more sugar because the balsamic is sweet, but I want it just a tiny bit sweeter. I'm going to hit it with just a little bit of cumin. About a half a teaspoon. I don't have a very big steak. And then just a few red pepper flakes for a little bit of heat. So now I'm going to stir that around. This can stay in the refrigerator. You want at least 8 hours on this steak. Overnight, it's fine. So we're going to put that steak in a baggie. Don't you love these baggies? And dump in the marinade. And then just seal it up. And this is going to go in the refrigerator. Now, for this steak, I like to do a sear on it. So I have a little cast iron skillet, and probably what I'll do is sear it here in the cast iron skillet and then throw it in the oven. Now, I like a medium rare steak, so that's going to be probably to about 125 degrees. But we'll sear it in here, throw it in the oven, and it won't take very long to cook. So these are some samples. I hope you'll dig around in your freezer and find some of those proteins and use some of these marinades. I think you'll really be happy with them. So until next time, take care and God's peace to you.